Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So we're talking today about reporting for the IBM Champion program. Libby asked me to review, since it's been a couple of years since we've talked about the process, how to do it, or how we're doing it now. So you start with a template of some sort. I typically do PowerPoint slides. I know we've changed reporting methods a bunch of times. And what I've done is I've broken it out into 5 big categories. So there's social shares, your blog, email, video, and events. So the 5 areas where I typically mention IBM the most. And each of these has a different reporting system, so we need to go through and gather the information from those different locations. Let's start with social shares first. So social shares, we do things a little bit differently than we used to. In the old days, we would have to go into each social media system and collect the information from LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. But since we're reporting just aggregate shares, there's an easier way to do that. So there's a piece of software that I use called Urls, which is kind of a silly name, but it's an open source product that runs in a VM, a container, your choice. Open source, and it's essentially your own URL shortener. So you do have to attach a domain of it to it. But one of the really nice things that is built in is that there's it's not built in, there's a plugin for Google Analytics integration. So inside of Google Analytics, I can then go in and find, let's go ahead and do site content here. And for those of you familiar with Google Analytics, you can look at essentially what's been shared. So we're doing reporting for the month of June. I'm going to switch here to page title, which contains the pages. And for IBM, remember that Google Analytics supports regexes. So we're going to do a regex on a page title, and essentially, I have a regex here that matches pretty much every major IBM product that I work with. So those are Auto AI, Watson Studio. I should put Watson's in there. Cloud Pak for data, went with AI, Think, and its various incarnations, OpenScale, etc. And it's just a simple regex. Now, Google Analytics is the Go. It's Go style regex, so it's not PCRE and it's not JavaScript. It's a more scaled down version. So just remember that when you're constructing a regex. And what we get then is we get to see all of the articles that I shared from IBM or about IBM in the month of June. So we'll go ahead and just screenshot this. And this goes into the deck. Got to rename this tier too. So this is now June. And we have 1,229 social shares. There's a substantial drop since May, because May, of course, was Think, and we were all promoting all sorts of crazy stuff. We had 56 rows, so 56 pieces of content. Okay, next is the blog. So I have a personal blog, which is where I do most of my sharing for IBM and content. The blog is on WordPress and runs Google Analytics. And so what I want to do is, to the extent that I can, try and get not only the posts and post titles, but if I've mentioned IBM within the blog itself. So the way I do this is using R. I will go through and essentially scan my blog and pull out from Google Analytics all the data that I need, and I'm going to go run that through a simple SQL script to crawl all of those pages and get the page views for them. So the first run through of this script is going to get the pages. I should make sure I change the dates. Did I change the dates? I did not. Oops. There we go. We'll stop that and rerun it. So while it does this, it's going to pull every page that got a page view in June from the blog. It's going to then load that into a Microsoft SQL, MySQL server, and there's a PHP script there that will crawl those pages and get our page views. And that's going to will take a little while. So let's go ahead and, while we're waiting for that, move on to our next thing. Okay. So blog stuff. So next we have, let's see, what's on the list next? Email. So email, I use the Mautic marketing operations system. Mautic is, again, free and open source. I send my email newsletter out. And what it does is I can look at the month of June and for the number of issues I sent during June. And we'll screenshot that. That goes in the deck here. And then I need to get tallies of the numbers. So we're going to fire up Excel. This is a very primitive way of doing this. I've tried to think of a better way of doing it, but honestly, it's so little work that it doesn't seem worth it. So it's going to do a find replace on the space, turn it into a tab. Cut it, bring it into a new Excel workbook. Paste our plain text. So we sent a total of 330,185 emails. And each newsletter for sure has at least one thing from IBM in it. So we count those as views. We have 330,185 sent, and then on the red side of things we have 47,637 reads. So okay, so that covers email. Again, pretty straightforward. Next, we're going to go over to YouTube. So YouTube channel, go into analytics. And one of the things that's tricky about YouTube is they don't give you snapshots. They give you essentially cumulative views as of the period of time you're looking at. So this would give you, let's see, top videos, see more. And we're going to want views by video. We want impressions. And what else are we putting this for? And watch time in hours. Watch time. Oh, we need to add them here. Watch time. Oh, we got them already. Yeah, views, impressions, watch time. Okay, let's go ahead and dump this out to our CSV file. Remember that YouTube gives us 3 different sets of metrics, or 3 different outputs. It gives us the chart, the table, and the totals. We want the table data. And you'll notice, of course, that we get everything on that channel. So go ahead and do a quick insert. And again, as we did with Google Analytics, we're going to use similar to a regex for this. And it's just going to do a count if statement. Let's get rid of the summary row here. Call this column IBM. And this is a chained count if that's going to look through those exact same things. Ooh, I've got some curly quotes in there. Dang it. Straighten quotes. There we go. And then we sort the table. Trim out everything that is not IBM. and do our summaries. Auto fit. Okay. So we had 3,700 impressions, 256 views, 11 hours of watch time, which is 702 minutes. Again, screenshot this. And go back to our browser. Knock that out. There's our video table, and now we summarize it. So we have 3,795. That and 256. Okay. Next. We go back to our R script, and now I'm just going to flip this around to run the reporting side. So run insert no, run report yes. And now we're going to query the SQL Server, get our page views report. Okay. We have our page views. So these are all the URLs. And this is the traffic within the month of June. I'll just do a couple quick totals here. Actually, there's some NAs there. There's no data. Let's knock those out. 142 lines. So 866 views, 877 mentions. Screenshot this. And then the blog content, that goes there. Under count is 866 page views and 877 mentions. Okay. So that is the process for putting together all this data that then goes to the team, goes to Libby and everybody, and it gives the folks at IBM a sense of essentially how much their messaging is reaching different audiences. I think that there probably are more advanced ways to do the reporting on this. I could build like a data studio dashboard to pull a lot of this in, but I don't know that it happens frequently enough that we need to do that, particularly since, as you just saw, we got this done in about 15 minutes. That said, certainly would be useful if this is something that a lot of folks started doing. I would encourage you to use something like Google Data Studio or Cognos or whatever to do the extraction and validation of the data. Your systems will all vary. The one piece in here that is not just out of the box is that extraction from Google Analytics and using a SQL script and a PHP script to extract the contents of the page. I would say if you wanted to keep it simple, you could do it just on the page title, and that's something you could do purely with Google Analytics. You would just have to remember to tag your posts with an IBM tag so that you knew that you were writing about IBM, unless that's literally all you write about. Hopefully you found this helpful. It did go by a little fast, but you found it helpful as to one way of doing reporting that provides IBM with a lot of data that shows the value of the champion program and the people who are in the program, and frankly puts it in metrics that other departments, like marketing, for example, would find useful and valuable to be able to, for them to then take that, roll that up into their own data, and present that to the powers that be to say, like, hey, marketing's doing a great job in collaboration with the champions to boost awareness of IBM. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.